Okay, so 2.5 years ago, it was exam time for me at university, and our exams are held in like open gyms, which is right beside the weightlifting gym. And during exam season, I remember walking by the weightlifting gym and seeing a bunch of people in there and thinking, what are they doing in there? It's exam season; they should be studying all of this stuff. And I was sort of being prideful, telling myself, I'm not in the gym. I'm spending my time studying like I should be. At this point, I didn't really understand the benefits of lifting on school. I thought it was just some activity that people went and did, and that was that. But there's a lot of things that come from lifting that will actually help you in your studies. There's boost on your mood, there's cognitive benefits, there's less stress, and all of these things are things that I wish I knew when I started university. Now, 2.5 years later, I'm training 6 times a week. I'm loving every minute of it, and my academic performance has only gotten better. I've gotten straight A pluses for the last 3.5 years now of my studies in engineering, while spending exponentially less time than I used to in studying. So this video is going to cover everything that I wish I knew when I started university about how lifting is good for school. If I had seen this stuff, a year earlier, I would have been so much further on in my lifting journey, and I would have had the benefits of the less stress, the better cognitive performance, and all the other benefits that come from lifting. So let's start talking about that. So the first point I want to make is that exercise is scientifically proven to improve your grades. And when I was researching for this video, I already kind of knew this. Every time I go to the gym during exam season nowadays, there's always a whiteboard, and that whiteboard shows, facts about certain things at certain times of the year. And during exam season, it always shows students who continue to exercise, continue to go to the gym, tend to perform better in their exams. And so I already kind of knew this, but I didn't really just know how much of an impact that was. So when I was researching for this video, I was looking for, the studies that actually show this. And I was really surprised with just how, substantial the findings actually are. There's one study that showed that not only does physical activity correlate with a higher academic performance, but it also correlated with less stress. So not only are you going to perform better, but you're going to feel better about that too. And the study also showed that the opposite was true. So for students who didn't exercise, they literally had a lower cognitive performance than the other students. And it wasn't just that, because that study was for general exercising. But it's not just exercise as a whole. Lifting itself, weightlifting itself, has benefits on your academic performance. This study here actually showed that students who went to the gym more actually had a just higher GPA. Like, it's just straight up, you go to the gym more, you have a higher GPA. That was the relation there. Students who got A's just went to the gym more than students who got B's. And students who got B's went to the gym more than students who got C's, D's, and F's, okay? So it's not just hand wavy. There's a literally positive correlation between how many times a week you go to the gym and your GPA. If you go to the gym more, your GPA should increase. So that's the first point I want to make, is that there's actual scientifically backed evidence that show that students who engage in more physical activity tend to perform better in their classes. But I think that this doesn't just come from the actual cognitive benefit or the less stress that comes from lifting. Exercise just improves your mental altogether, right? It doesn't just boost cognitive performance, it boosts your mental, it boosts your mood, it boosts your energy, right? When I go to the gym, typically after my workout, ironically, because I've just spent a bunch of energy, I should be feeling tired, but usually I'm feeling good and I'm feeling energized about that. It's the same thing, when people go for runs. During that run, of course, sometimes you're tired, you want to stop, maybe it doesn't feel the best, but after the run, it always feels good. You always feel energized. You're in a good mood. You're in a better mental. And so, of course, if you carry that better mental into your studies, that's going to help you even more. Exercise in general will just always put you in a better mood, which is going to help you perform better, right? Like, let's say with exercise, let's say you're progressing in something, you're seeing your lifts going up in the gym, or you're running faster and faster and faster, or longer and longer distances. That progress you will feel good about, and you can take those good feelings and apply that into your studies. Really just think about who's going to have a more successful studying session come 6 o'clock at night, okay? Is it going to be the student who's sat at their desk all day studying, or is it going to be the student who went to their classes, socialized with some friends, went to the gym, and then they're feeling energized for when 6 o'clock comes and it's time for them to study at this point, right? It's obviously going to be that student. So even outside of just the, cognitive benefit, exercise just makes you feel good, and when you feel good, you're going to perform better. Also, it's not just exercise. Like earlier, we saw that lifting specifically correlated with a higher GPA, but I think there's other benefits that lifting specifically will help with, right? Lifting is kind of a special physical activity. Yes, it's a solo activity, but you're doing it in a community. And so when you go to the gym, that's not only checking off your feeling good task from exercising, but you're also feeling good because chances are you're going to be able to socialize in there. Chances are you're going to be able to be part of that community. The more and more you go to the gym, the more and more you meet people, the more and more you build a network in there, the more and more you have a actual solid community of people around you, okay? And again, having that community just makes you feel that much better, which is going to help you perform that much better in your classes. And so, yeah, when you combine all this, when you combine feeling good because exercise just generally feels good, and feeling good from progressing in the exercise, and feeling good from socializing, and feeling good from getting that community aspect from the gym, all of these combine, and you're just going to be feeling, 20, 30, 40% better all the time. And when you're feeling 20, 30, 40% better all the time, you're probably going to study 20, 30, 40% better. You're probably going to be able to focus 20, 30, 40% better, right? And I can guarantee you that at this point, you will procrastinate less. You will focus better on your work. You'll enjoy your work more. Why? Because a lot of people think procrastination comes from, bad time management, or, they're too tired or anything like this. But realistically, time management, lack of discipline, not enjoying the work, all of this really doesn't come down to any, time management or energy management sort of thing. It really comes down to a bad mental, okay? And you can trace every single one of these habits, procrastination or not enjoying the work or any of these, back down to a bad mental. And if we just improve the mental, okay, if we, focus on the root cause of these things, then we'll have you performing better in your studies, and you get the added benefit that, it's not just some productivity tip that helps you in your studies. You're improving your whole baseline mental, which is going to help you in your studies. It's going to help you in your relationships. It's going to help you in your fitness. It's going to help you everywhere, okay? So all in all, the second insight I want you to take from this is that exercise boosts your mental. Better mental will boost your performance in school. Now, the last point I want to make is that, a lot of people will say, I don't have time to exercise. I would love to do it. I just don't have time. But you have more time than you think, okay? I was in that same mindset when I was first starting going to the gym, okay? If you think back to the story I told at the beginning where I was thinking about these people in the gym during exam season and how, why aren't they studying? Why aren't they doing this? It was really me thinking that, I didn't have time to go to the gym. And so I was like projecting that onto them. But realistically, okay, you have more time than you think. Like I said, when I started, I felt that I didn't have that time. But I just started anyways. And every single time I added more physical activity, my grades did not dip. When I first started going to the gym 3 times a week, I thought that was going to be difficult for me. And I thought my classes were going to take a hit because I wanted to prioritize my school. But you know what happened? Nothing. My grades didn't change at all, okay? I got my same performance with spending less time on my work. And then when I upped that to 4 times a week, what do you think changed? Nothing. My grades maintained. When I upped that to 5 times a week, what do you think happened? Nothing. My grades maintained. The next year, when I started training Muay Thai twice a week, did anything change with my grades? No. They just stayed the same, and I was spending less time on my classes. And then 6 months ago, when I started running, I started with once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And every single time I added more physical activity in my life quality only went up, and my grades didn't change at all. They did not dip once. And honestly, for you, I would say that they would probably increase from all the benefits that you get from lifting, from exercise, and all these things. But for me, they just can't increase. But that does mean that my academic performance is actually better because I'm getting those perfect grades in significantly less time. And so I really want you to think of this trade-off, okay? Because when you choose to, start going to the gym or start doing some sort of exercise, yes, you're taking a little bit of time from school and you're putting it elsewhere. But let me just emphasize the benefits here, okay? The benefits are better grades, better mood, less stress, better health, better physique, more productive, working less, and enjoying your work more because you're getting better work done in less time. And well, what are the trade-offs, right? You get all of that for the trade-offs of, first, a little bit of discomfort. When you're starting something new, there's a little bit of discomfort there when you're building that habit. But also, there's always going to be a little bit of discomfort, right? Sometimes you won't feel like going for that run. Sometimes you won't feel like going to the gym. And so there's always going to be that little bit of discomfort there because it is a hard activity, or at least harder than, going on social media or playing video games or any of these things. And so because of that, your brain will say like, hey, no, I want to do the easy thing. And there's going to be discomfort for doing the harder thing. But we know that the benefits are there, which is why we should pick that harder thing anyways. And outside of that discomfort, the other trade-off you're making is your time. Now, I want to make an argument against that though, because realistically, I don't think that by choosing to, go to the gym or lift, you're actually sacrificing much time. And that's for a few reasons. First of all, right, there's the idea that work tends to contract and expand to fill the amount of time you've allotted to it. So if you give yourself 6 hours to do the work, well, it might take you 6 hours. And if you give yourself 2 hours to do the work, it might take you 2 hours. So let's say you go to the gym more, right? You're essentially just going to be putting more of a time constraint on your work. And in essence, that's going to help you get that work done faster because you literally just have less time to work now. So naturally, you're going to work better. So that's the first point I want to make, okay? You're not really sacrificing your time. You're going to take work that may have taken you 4 hours, do that in 2, and now you have 2 hours to go to the gym instead, okay? So that's point one. Point B is that you probably actually have more time than you think, right? If I look at your phone right now and it shows, 6 hours screen time, right? You have time to go to the gym. And to say otherwise is silly because, we bring that down to 4 hours and all of a sudden you have 2 hours to go to the gym. So it's clear right there. We can get you into the gym. And the other thing is maybe you don't have screen time as an issue, but maybe you're studying for very, very long periods of time, right? And I would say even in that situation, even if you're spending, 8 hours a day studying and you don't have time to go to the gym, well, we can probably find ways to improve the efficiency of your studying, right? Maybe you're studying with friends. Maybe you're studying with your phone beside you. Maybe you have all these other distractions that are making you not study as well. And by removing those distractions, you can 3-4x your amount of studying done in that amount of time. And now all of a sudden we have time to go to the gym. But while it's good to, remove these things, I would say the easiest thing to do is actually just, go to the gym anyways. Because like I said, if you go to the gym anyways, right, you're going to naturally, because your work contracts to fill the allotted time, you're naturally going to be working better during that period of time. And so if you legitimately only have 1 hour to do the work, I can almost guarantee you're not going to get distracted. You're not going to be like studying with friends. You're not going to be trying to go on your phone while you're studying. You're not going to study distracted because you have that work to do. And so you're going to sit down and get that work done anyways. If you want to get to the gym, just go, okay? Don't worry about any other thing. Your studying will figure itself out. Like it literally will. You won't need to touch it. Your studying will figure itself out. Your work will just contract to fill the amount of time you've allotted to it, right? Because when we're taking out, 3 to 6 hours a week to go to the gym, it's really not much time, okay? And so your work will be able to adjust naturally. And so realistically for most people, even though that they would say, time is their issue. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time for this. I don't think that's actually the issue. They might think that that's the issue. That might be what's stopping them from starting. But if they just chose to start, that wouldn't be the issue at all. The only issue is going to be that little bit of discomfort and that little bit of discipline they'll need to overcome that discomfort. And so all of this, better grades, better mood, less stress, better health, better physique, more productive, working less, enjoying work more, all of this for the trade-off of, a little bit of discomfort, okay? So I really hope this can help you understand the benefits of going to the gym for your student life. Humans, they just weren't meant to sit at a desk at a laptop all day doing homework, okay? It's just not what we were meant to do, okay? You're meant to, go outside, get some movement, talk to people, live life, all right? And yes, work is part of that life, okay? But it is not the only part, okay? You got to think long term, walking, lifting, running, these are all just basic human activities, all right? You have the time to go to the gym, to socialize, and to do a little workout there, okay? And that is going to give you so many positive benefits. You're going to enjoy your studies so much more. So just start now. Schedule it like a class. I've got a whole nother video talking about how to balance school and lifting for beginners. You can watch it here, but just get it in your calendar. And that's it. So I hope this video has helped you understand the benefits of lifting for your school, all right? And I hope that you can take action on this video and get started because, I really wish I would have got started 1 year earlier. And this video would have helped me do it.